Okay, this is the official continuation of code cookie number 38, where we work with JSON variables. And now I'm going to show you some stuff that you can do when you're working with JSON variables. So if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch that one before watching this one. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you a quick demo of what we are achieving here today. Create a bunch of users. So this is something you want to do sometimes, and I'm just going to fill out here. And I'm adding to a table. I can't type and talk at the same time apparently. And I have no imagination. Alright, so what are we looking at here? We are declaring a user with 3 text fields. It could be how many you'd like, and we used the function from the previous code cookie, 39 or 38 it was, I think. So we create a JSON string here, and we send it to a web service, and we render a table for it. And we save that piece of JSON, the whole representation of what you have added here, in a string variable, and we send that into the workflow. So this is pretty neat. Obviously the web service here just shows the headers. Shut up. The headers or the identifiers of the text fields here. But we can go ahead and create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, how many you want. So and we could also add like function here to be able to remove from the list afterwards with a little JavaScript. Okay, so what can we do with this? We can make ForEach loops. And this, once everything is set up, this is what you get. So first I want to have a very quick ForEach loop here. I want to have 1 second delay between every iteration. So I do this because we need to bind to the seconds here. I just set up a delay decimal variable, and I set that to 1, and that's a decimal variable, so I can bind that in here on the seconds. Do I have it in? I have it in Swedish apparently. Let's refresh. I think I changed to English. And the condition here is while, because this is a while loop. So this is sort of a workaround, because we don't have ForEach loops here, because we don't have like objects or arrays as variable types in Service Point out of the box. But this is something you can do to work around that if you like. So the while conditions exit statement here, or the while condition condition is while object count is not 0, and we will be changing object count in this activity for every iteration. So we keep a count of how many objects you added in the table, and we work with the object JSON that we take from the form. Again, check the previous video if you didn't follow there. And we subtract 1 from the object count through every iteration, and we update the object with every iteration as well. So what we can do then is that we can, for instance, we can do stuff with every user they have chosen to create in the form. So I could basically bind this to the email address if I want to do something with the email address here from the form. So this variable or this identifier is called tf email, and the variable has the same name. So it becomes very easy to just say the email address of the current person in this iteration, I'm going to do this with that. So to demonstrate, we can create something like a new status, and I can write now creating TF first name, TF last name, within parentheses TF email, and let's just write that out in a state. Saving that, refreshing here. So I'm actually caching this on the server now. So if I write Adamson, adam@adam.nu, I will actually take the ones that I created previously. So that's something you can do if you'd like, and you could add a clear button here to clear the table and start anew. And you can have a web service fire off every time you submit here to clear the list because I cache it on the server. You don't need to do that, but it's something I just chose to do now. Number of users 4. Okay, so I'm placing this order. So while that's brewing, we can go ahead and just have a quick look in here again. In real cases, you probably need to do a bit of stuff with every user they've created. Like you probably want to, maybe you want to put a license on them, create them in Active Directory, send some kind of ticket in a ticket handling system to set up a desk for them if it's an onboarding thing or whatever. You probably have tons of activities that you want to run on every user. If that's what you want, this is pretty much the perfect setup for you. That is, if you have activities for the type of stuff you want to do. So you can just plug in all those variables to every of the activities you have. So the other approach would be to create one activity that does everything. You could just write an activity that takes the whole JSON objects and have a programmatical ForEach loop instead, and you do it all in code. But there's some problems to that. I'm not saying it's completely wrong, but I'm saying that sometimes it's wrong. The drawbacks of doing that is that you get no persistence. So say you have someone is creating 100 users, and something in the infrastructure happens, like the power goes out, and when someone plugs the power back in, the service point will try to resume this workflow by restarting the activity that didn't finish. And if that was running for an hour already, it will restart and you will do everything again, and that will probably not work and probably not be very good. So in that case, it's a bad practice, but I get it. If you have like just a handful of stuff you want to do and you don't have already activities defined for it, and it's like it takes a few minutes to do, it may be an option sometimes. Let's have a look what happens. Create a bunch of users. Okay, so we can see now we have written out the states. We created each and every one of these users, so that just proof that we have a ForEach loop working here. And I've used this in implementations a few times, and it's very good, and I hope you had fun. I hope it was something that you can take with you, or be an inspiration perhaps in something you want to do. But the big selling point here really is that you can add however many entities of whatever computers, assets, users, whatever you want, and do something with it. And it could also be dynamic drop downs and stuff here, like that here as well, and you can have very advanced stuff. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. Bye.